Hello everyone. I hope this vlog finds you well and staying safe despite the very unusual times we're living in. One of the things I've been thinking about lately, and let's face it, all of us have got a lot more time to think about things at the moment, haven't we, with so many things that we would take for normal being denied us because of the COVID crisis. And one of the things I've been reflecting on is how much we only see what's on the surface, and there's so much hidden underneath. And in that respect, that the stuff that we have hidden comes in many ways. There are some things that are hidden because we squash them. We don't want to share the pain. We find the pain overwhelming, so we maybe squash them with alcohol or with prescription or illicit drugs. My sister Tricia was a point in question. She sadly died from her alcoholism when she was only in her 40s. And often when people do things like that, it's because they can't name the pain that's inside them and they try to press it down. But the problem is, unless you talk about these difficult things, they just come back and haunt you all the more. So it's so vital that we talk about things. And it's also really important that we think beyond what we can see that's obvious. And I've been thinking a bit more about that because there's been this huge debate about civil liberties and wearing masks, and the fact that it's become compulsory in England now to wear masks in supermarkets and shops and takeaways, and on public transport. It's been for a while, but in other places, and some people are up in arms about it. But it's not about you, it's about me and people like me that have spent years trying to stay alive. Now, many of you that know my story know that it started 20 years ago when I had the first diagnosis of myelodysplastic syndrome, which is a rare blood cancer. And I went on to have a bone marrow transplant in 2016. And that's been successful in dealing with the cancer. But what you may not realise is that you then have to take lots and lots of medication, and some of that is very toxic and powerful. And one of the medication types you take is immunosuppression drugs, and that's really important in the early days because it battens down your immune response so that you don't reject your donor cells, in my case my lovely little sister, and also that you don't overreact to things and develop something called graft versus host disease. And immunosuppression is used in the treatment of graft versus host disease as well, if you do go on to treat it, to succumb to it, which sadly I have. And so even though we're now nearly 4 years on since the transplant, my quality of life is really actually quite poor compared to what it was before. And people don't realise that. So I might not have the life-threatening cancer, but I still have really profound difficulties with my health, and life-threatening infections come my way and cause problems and all sorts of things. So let's see what this, if I was to, instead of just sitting here talking to you the way I am now, was to show you some of the effects of graft versus host disease and living with the long-term effects of cancer, successfully treating, but nonetheless the long-term side effects of treatment. So here's my skin, and as you can see, if I knock or scratch my skin, it bruises, and it also tears. And you know when you see on some of these television programs and someone's degloved where the skin has folded back, that's what happens. I just rip the skin and it folds backwards on itself, exposing the fat layer beneath. Gross and very easily done. All I was doing when I got that was I was carrying a very light load of laundry, freshly laundered clothes, into my spare room to put away ready for when I was to iron it, and I caught my arm on the handle of the door. Easily done, something you would normally brush off. I can't. In the same way, I can't brush off an infection, and if I get COVID, I'm very likely to snuff it, and that would be it for me. The other thing is that these infections, I have a very dry mouth, as well as this dry, itchy skin, I have a very dry mouth as well. That leads to infections in your mouth, and that leads to this problem. Not nice. I've always taken very good care of my teeth. I've always had good reports from the dentist about how well I brush my teeth. And now I'm struggling to keep the teeth in my head. It's a hard way to live. But I always look for the good things. I'm forever trying to look on the bright side and to share what can be done. And like I said, it's not just about me. So I want to introduce you to some of my amazing friends. This is Claudia. I work with Claudia on the MDS UK Management Committee, and we're the national charity looking after people with our rare blood cancer. Claudia has been having transfusions for, I think, 13 years, if I remember rightly, since she was diagnosed. She's transfusion dependent, so without the generosity and love of altruistic givers that give a blood donor in sessions, she would not be alive. And she can't have a transplant because she doesn't fall into that category. And this is my mate Dave, and he's a real likely lad, and he used to be a firefighter, and he calls himself an MDS warrior, and he really is a warrior. And he also fought blood cancer, had a transplant, and now lives with extensive graft versus host disease. He lost his job. All sorts of horrible things happened to him, and his relationship failed, but yet he keeps smiling, he keeps bouncing back time after time after time. Next we have the lovely Jean. Jean lives a bit further up country, and we're Facebook friends, united through our MDS. Jean's great. She sends me funny clips and music, and when I was in intensive care on one occasion in Mallorca, she sent me lovely messages every day to keep my spirits up, and that's what we do for each other. She can't get a transplant either because it's not available to everyone. It might be because of other illnesses, it might be because they don't think people could withstand the rigours of treatment. Next is the beautiful Evie, and I have this candle alight beside me which says love on it for Evie and her mum Nikki. Evie is a wonderful young person. She has had 2 transplants. This photo was taken on her 14th birthday. She is such a fighter. Again, she managed to on the 2nd attempt to have now put her cancer into remission by enduring the treatment she had to endure. The problem is, it's left her, she's not grown in the last 2 years. She needs to have probably both her hips replaced. She managed to break her wrist the other night while sleeping because her bones are so fragile now. And she has constant problems, not as a result of the cancer, but as a result of the treatment, and is very, very susceptible to infection, and is currently in hospital yet again. She can't breathe, her heart is beating too fast. I don't know how her mum copes with it. This is her wonderful mum Nikki, and you can see the love between Evie and Nikki shining out through this photo. They are a wonderful testament to the strength and endurance of the human spirit, and they have my love and my respect. My heart just goes out to them. It's bad enough what I've been through. Evie's been going through this since she was 8 years old. Can you imagine that? 8 years old, having to endure all this. And when someone in the family gets cancer, it's not just them that gets cancer, it's the whole family. And this is my baby sister Gail, and she was my donor. And this picture was taken before the ravages of treatment and everything that I had to endure and the ups and downs that I go with as a result of the graft versus host disease. And I wanted to introduce you to all these wonderful people, because each and every one of us would die if we got COVID. And you say it's your right not to wear a mask. Please don't be a fool. If someone you loved was susceptible and would die, you would want to do anything you could to protect them. Well, please imagine that some of those people that I've introduced you today to are your family. What would you do? Would you wear the mask then? It's not about taking away your rights. It's about keeping me and the others safe. Please do it for us. It's about what we can do collectively. It's about taking responsibility as a society for those that are most vulnerable. And the problem is, when you see us like this, we don't always look vulnerable. Sorry, I pulled my hearing aids out a bit. We don't look vulnerable, do we? But we are. So please, don't breathe on us. Don't make it possible that we might end up being another statistic on the telly. But more than we will be another statistic on the telly, we will also be someone's mother, someone's grandmother, someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's friend, someone's lover. Don't take us away from those we love. We don't want to go. We've spent, some of us, a lifetime fighting already. Don't let it end because of your civil liberties. Please, please wear a mask. Thank you.